President Trump teasing a big news conference later this morning about what he calls a major trade deal.
Doug Luzader joining us live now from Washington. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, guys. For a while now, the White House has said that negotiators were closing in on a number of trade deals, and it looks like this morning they're going to take the wraps off the very first one. There are a number of reports now that this deal is with the UK. The president will not confirm that, but here's what he posted on Truth Social last night. Big news conference tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. The Oval Office concerning a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country, the first of many. Now, at the same time, the administration is moving ahead with talks with China over the weekend, trade talks, but don't look for the massive tariffs on that country's goods to come down while these talks move forward.
Are you open to pulling back your tariffs in order to get China to the negotiating table?
No.
What does China need to do on fentanyl specifically? What do you want to see done?
Well, they have to stop fentanyl from coming in. That'll be a very big part. And I had that understanding with President Xi before I left last time, and we had a deal, and he would have honored the deal. But when Biden came in, of course, nothing ever happened.
And while trade talks move ahead with China, the administration is holding out hope for a nuclear deal with Iran.
We think that there is a deal here that would reintegrate Iran into the global economy, that would be really good for the Iranian people, but would result in the complete cessation of any chance that they could get a nuclear weapon. And that's what we're negotiating towards.
Okay, but something Iran won't be happy about. We expect President Trump to rename the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Gulf in coming days. Iran's foreign minister says that reflects what he called hostile intent. Griffin Carly.
All right, Doug Luzader live for us in Washington. Doug, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring in national security and military analyst Dr. Rebecca Grant. Dr. Grant, good morning to you. A lot of news this morning on the Iran front. Let's first start with these two comments that President Trump made yesterday. Watch this.
I would much prefer a strong, verified deal where we actually blow them up, but blow them up or just denuke them.
Is it the U.S. position that Iran can have an enrichment program as long as it doesn't reach a weapons?
We haven't made that decision yet. We will, but we haven't made that decision yet.
Yeah, and when he says blow them up, he meant the nuclear centrifuges. But sort of two opposing ideas from the president there. In the second clip, he was talking about how he hadn't yet made a decision on if Iran could have a civilian nuclear program. So where does that leave us this morning?
Well, clearly, we are deep into these talks with possibly another round in Oman. And President Trump is 100% right. Iran can either negotiate, give up their enriched uranium, or have their nuclear facilities blown up one way or another, cyber, bombers, whatever it takes. And I think when he talks about whether they'll have civilian enrichment, you know, they have a power plant. You can buy fuel for that on the open global market. So they are really into the nitty gritty, and I think they've made big progress in getting that nuclear fuel out of Iran, and then the incentive, taking off some of the sanctions or letting Iran back into the global economy. That's what's driving this.
Okay, so Rebecca, also take a look at this. In less than 7 days, Iran could have one nuclear weapon. In 4 months, they could have 17. So that means that they have figured out the process and are just choosing not to pull the trigger. So why, and what does that mean if a deal is made now? What does that mean for the potential for a nuclear-armed Iran in the future?
So that means, Carlene, you're exactly right, that they have to take the 60% enriched uranium. That's the stock that can be rapidly enriched up to 90%, and then a little while to put it into a bomb. That has got to go out of Iran. Someone has to come literally pick it up, take it away. The Russians, somebody, so that it goes into a place that they cannot have it. They also can't have the centrifuges. And over top of all this, the UN, Rafael Grossi, the inspectors have to be able to look at every inch of all of those Iranian facilities, and they got to do something about the ballistic missiles.
Yeah, no doubt. So Doug just mentioned this at the end of his report, that President Trump is reportedly going to rename the Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf ahead of his Middle East trip next week. Why? Because Iran certainly doesn't like this idea.
Oh, I love this because that's what our friends in the region, like the UAE, who's only 32 miles from Iran, they already call it the Arabian Gulf versus catering to Iran with that Persian Gulf. And I think this is Iran just putting a little bit more pressure and reminding President Pezeshkian that he has got to give in on a lot of key points.
Okay, so the UAE maps already say the Persian Gulf noted, so we would just have to update ours as well. Finally, let's get to this really quickly. Vice President JD Vance's comments on Russia regarding the ceasefire talks. This is where he stands right now on this. Watch.
We think they're asking for too much, okay? If cool heads prevail here, we can bring this thing to a durable peace that will be economically beneficial for both the Ukrainians and the Russians, and most importantly, will stop the end of the destruction of human lives.
So the Trump administration now says that Russia is asking for too much. Your reaction to that?
So we're all frustrated, but I'm encouraged by Vance's remarks because it means they are really deep into the deal with Russia. Guarantee you, Vance also said, economic. There are huge economic incentives for Russia with their very weak economy, very dependent on China. Those are being laid on the table in the background to try to get Putin to agree to stop fighting in Ukraine. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah, and more talks to come with Iran, Russia, and Ukraine. So, Dr. Grant, thank you so much for following it all for us this morning. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.